escorts, rappers, and recording artists. Explosive testimony this week in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Pix 11 talking exclusively to an escort named The Punisher, just after testifying he wouldn't have taken part in the freak-offs if he thought Diddy was forcing his ex, Cassie Ventura.
Can't say that any part of my experience gave me any cues that this was a woman in distress. More of a fetish type of scenario.
Cassie's mother also testifying, saying Combs threatened to release sex tapes of her daughter if she didn't pay him $20,000. And prosecutors calling Diddy's former assistants to the stand as they try to paint the picture of Diddy running a criminal enterprise. But will the jury see it that way?
If someone has their staff aid and abet them doing something, that makes them a racketeering enterprise. Negative does not.
And that was just some of the most dramatic testimony this week in the Sean Diddy Combs trial.
Yeah, Pix 11's Anthony DiLorenzo has been in court all week with us. He joins us now. But also joining us are New York City trial attorney David Schwartz and entertainment and lifestyle reporter Jasmine Simpkins, who has also been covering the trial. Thank you all for being here.
Anthony, let's start with you. What's your biggest takeaway from this week?
Well, there was such a mixed bag, but of course the Kid Cudi testimony was what everyone was talking about because he really went to the racketeering element of it. And one of the predicate acts that you have to prove with the RICO conspiracy is that there was arson involved. So he specifically talked about when his vehicle was blown up when he was dating Cassie back in 2011, 2012. He also talked about the threats that were made. He talked about someone that they both knew mutually that possibly was threatening Kid Cudi. And so he talked all about these things that really based on the enterprise is what prosecutors are trying to prove.
Interesting.
David, let's talk to you a little bit about this as far as the prosecution is concerned. We're in week 2, still a long way to go as far as this trial. But do you think the prosecution has really landed with the charges here, or does this present itself as being very much a domestic violence case?
Like you said, it's only week 3 of an 8-week trial, but as of this moment in time, they have not proven any type of enterprise existed. I'm sure we're going to be hearing evidence later on in the coming weeks about an enterprise, but right now, and the underlying acts that make up this corruption, you don't have to prove the underlying acts. You just have to show that there was an agreement amongst the co-conspirators to commit the underlying acts. So as of this moment in time, I don't see how the prosecution has proven their case right now.
Yeah, but it is really, really early. Jasmine, to you, we're so happy to have you. You've been covering entertainment for quite some time right now. You've interviewed Diddy and Cassie several times. Has this trial so far given you some context to some of your interactions with those two?
Oh my gosh, I love that you use that word context, because I remember being in the courtroom last week, hearing Cassie's testimony and thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I had no idea. None of us had any idea what she was going through during that time. But to have interviewed her on March 4th, the day before the viral video that we've now seen in the Intercontinental Hotel, to know that she was undergoing such a dark, crazy time in her life whilst also promoting a film. And then just a few days later, I talked to her again on the red carpet after the incident has happened, and she's jovial, she's laughing, but her entire body is covered in like bronze, looks like she had gotten a severe spray tan. And I remember commenting to her, I was like, gosh, you look like a bombshell, this bronze bombshell, because I had just seen her days earlier. So just little nuggets like that over the years, speaking with Sean numerous times, not knowing that this is a man that has created this amazing enterprise. So much great music has come out of Bad Boy. I mean, he coined this term Black excellence. To know that behind the scenes, behind this huge empire and all the great things that he had been doing, that he was living this dark, very demented almost lifestyle, it just made me wonder what is going on in the underbelly of Hollywood. And we think we know these celebrities and what's going on, and we have no idea.
They focused a lot of time on that testimony surrounding the Intercontinental Hotel incident. And the defense really was picking apart Cassie at that moment because they were bringing up her text messages to Sean Combs around that time where she was the one who wanted to freak off, they said. She was the one who inspired that Intercontinental Hotel stay when ultimately she was then trying to flee from it because he had found something out. She was trying to leave that situation, but this was a period when her movie was about to come out. She was on the red carpet when she was being interviewed just there. And she told Sean, you know, I really want this to be a really special time in my life. I want to make sure that all of this is going to go perfectly. And she said the reason why she wanted to freak off was to satisfy him so that she didn't have any problems surrounding that premiere. But ultimately, you can see how volatile the relationship was because they still did have a major incident where she had to cover herself up in makeup.
Understandable. Okay, David, we want to get back to you and some of these witnesses. We know that the defense did not even question Cassie's mom, but do you feel that there are any witnesses that we've seen so far that have kind of benefited either the prosecution or the defense?
You know, as to the arson, the arson really fell flat because there was no proof at all that Sean Combs actually committed the arson, which is certainly one of the underlying crimes that they're trying to show. And again, they don't have to prove the underlying crimes, but that they still have to make a showing that there was an agreement to commit this underlying crime. So a couple of problems there. Number one, you don't know if Sean Combs committed the arson. And number two, who did he have the agreement with to commit this arson? Remember, this is an enterprise. This is a criminal enterprise that they're trying to prove. And right now, it's falling flat at this moment in time. That's not to say that there'll be more evidence in the coming weeks.
And Jasmine, as I mentioned, you've been covering entertainment for quite a bit out there in Los Angeles. Go back to what you were leading to. What does this case tell you about the greater entertainment industry?
As I was saying, I think it really makes us question, a lot of us journalists. We think we know these celebrities that we talk to day in and day out, and we really have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, what other lives they're leading. Are they living these dual lives like Sean Combs? Are there people on their staff, people that are working with them that are helping them cover up this other personality, this other side of their life that in some ways, and what we're finding with him was extremely criminal. And in the coming weeks, I think we're going to finally hear from some of those folks. I mean, they brought up his chief of staff assistant, Christina Courtroom, D-Rock, who was with him for a very, very long time as his security. I've seen him with D-Rock for many years. You kind of over the last 10 years have seen some of the same faces working around him. So I think as this trial unfolds, we'll also get a chance to hear from them and find out what the heck has been going on.
So we're talking about this enterprise, and they've been calling witnesses up to the stand that worked for Diddy, and we're going to continue to see that next week. The enterprise, of course, people who worked under him, and we heard from 2 assistants this past week who were allegedly committing crimes while they were working for Diddy, which is why one of them said he wasn't going to testify unless that he was guaranteed immunity because he was carrying large sums of cash, he was buying drugs for Diddy, and he was sitting idly by as these violent acts went on. So he said he was going to plead the fifth unless the judge granted him immunity, and that's what happened.
Take us inside the courtroom. What is it like? What does it feel like? How quiet is it? Do you get to see the jurors at all?
Yeah, I see the jurors in plain view.
Are they attentive?
So it depends. I think one of the most interesting things was at the end of Cassie's testimony, they all started to seem really bored. All the energy kind of really felt like it was sucked out of the room at that point. She was on the stand for a combined 24 hours, I counted. So even she was feeling the weight of all of this testimony, but they seemed to kind of want to move on from that. They had some moments of levity when Kid Cudi was on the stand yesterday, when he was talking about his interaction with Sean on the phone and the colorful language that he used with him. At one point, he called him that Marvel supervillain, and they broke out into laughter. But Diddy is very, very much an active defendant. He is working with his attorneys all the time, speaking with them, passing them notes. So he's very much involved.
All right.
David, to you, who won the week?
I think the defense won the week because of the presumption of innocence, and the prosecution has to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think everything right now is falling a little flat. Certainly, they proved a domestic violence case. They proved that he has done horrible things and vicious attacks. But that's not what this case is about. This case is about this criminal enterprise, which the statute was basically made when trying to prosecute the mafia way back when. Yeah. And the fact that he put together this enterprise, I just don't see it yet.
Jasmine, before we let you go, there's kind of been this unspoken rule in the entertainment industry that you don't talk badly about Diddy. Do you think after this trial that changes for many people?
Oh God, yeah. And I think little by little, you're starting to see people distance themselves, or at least come out and say, hey, listen, I've never been to a Diddy party. I've never seen these things. I didn't experience a freak off. I think people really, because I mean, you've had everyone from Martha Stewart to Donald Trump to Oprah and all kinds of folks in between who have been at these white parties. I mean, he kind of put the Hamptons on the map in terms of the hip hop culture at one point in time. So he's touched so many parts of the entertainment industry and had so many friends that I feel like even more people are going to be making sure, as more things come out in this trial, that they distance themselves from him.
All right. Jasmine and David, thank you so much. And we'll be right back with more of our coverage of Diddy's trial.
Yeah, up next, a look at what's happening in court next week.
Anthony will be with us.